Meanwhile, speaking at the Constitutional Hill on Wednesday at a pro-Palestine gathering, ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula said the party is calling for the International Criminal Court to issue an arrest warrant for Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Mbalula says the ICC should hold Netanyahu accountable for the violation of human rights and the murder of the people of Palestine. Let's get some analysis now with the public governance analyst, Dr Sam Koma. Dr. Koma, good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Gwena. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Koma, the statements that have been made by the ANC Secretary General, I mean, this is nothing new. This is a stance that I guess ANC has made. What do you make of this stance and something that they feel very strongly about?
Oh, yes. So we know that the call made by Mbalula follows the pronouncement which was made by President Ramaphosa 2 weeks ago, indicating that South Africa will be approaching the International Criminal Court, that is the ICC, to consider prosecuting the Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu for committing war crimes, because now it is common cause. We know what is the situation in Israel. So this is what the protest and also the march today was also all about, but also on his part, he felt that he needs to indicate a clear position around the issue of having the ICC considering issuing a warrant of arrest. But also it is up to the ICC, because this is a principled and progressive position and also a call made by people across the globe who are expressing solidarity with the victims of this conflict. So it is up to the ICC, Gwena, to redeem itself, since we know that previously the ICC was accused and also criticized for being biased towards situations obtaining in Africa while ignoring similar violations of the Rome Statute obtaining on other continents. A classic case, we know the Omar al-Bashir matter, the DRC matter, and also the Kenyan matter. However, it should be pointed out that Israel is not party and a signatory to the Rome Statute. Therefore, the ICC cannot exercise jurisdiction on this matter. The only way the ICC can consider this matter in terms of the call made by the South African government would be for the UN Security Council to pass a motion or a resolution referring the matter to the ICC. There is a precedent on this one. I refer to the Omar al-Bashir matter. We also had the Libya situation in 2011, bearing in mind that both Sudan and Libya are not states members of the Rome Statute. But through the UN Security Council resolutions, the ICC was able to initiate investigations with a view to prosecute those who were alleged to have committed atrocities in the respective countries. So the ball is in the court of the UN Security Council to show consistency, fairness, and also justice for those who are vulnerable in this instance.
So Dr. Koma, does this not then say that it's a futile call by the ANC specifically, in that you can't just say we want this to happen now and it happens. It has to pass certain steps. How strong then is South Africa's stroke ANC's voice in this matter?
Yes, Gwena, you're right. So the good thing is that at the moment, South Africa has managed to galvanize support from Middle East countries to rally behind this position, which is to call for the ICC to investigate and also prosecute Prime Minister Netanyahu. But it is up to these countries now to canvass this position through lobbying the UN Security Council to make a resolution with a view to refer this situation in Israel to the ICC. Other than this, there's no way that the ICC will have jurisdiction over the matter. As I said, Israel is not a party and also a signatory to the Rome Statute. They are not bound by any process that people are calling for and also what action other people are calling for. So that is the hurdle that South Africa will have to navigate. Of course, the ANC is speaking in line with the position taken by the South African government. But for the South African government to, of course, see to it that this matter is properly handled and processed would be to galvanize support from other countries, go to the UN Security Council and petition the UN Security Council to consider prosecuting Prime Minister Netanyahu.
In a case, as you just explained, Dr. Koma, that they are not necessarily signatories to the Rome Statutes. So does this also not limit to a certain extent, either way, the power of the ICC in terms of issuing this warrant of arrest? Will it be worth the paper that it's written on if it's issued, in that you are issuing it against somebody who does not necessarily recognize your rules, regulations, and laws, as it were?
Yeah, so it's not misunderstanding, Gwena, to be fair, on the part of those who are calling for the ICC to prosecute and issue a warrant of arrest. There's no way that the ICC will do that, because it does not have jurisdiction over this matter, since Israel is not a member state of the Rome Statute. South Africa is a member of the Rome Statute, and of course it has the right to refer a matter that affects South Africa. But at this stage, it's a conflict taking place in another country. They are expressing solidarity with the people that are affected by this war, and also they are looking at avenues. What is the best way to exert pressure on the ICC in this regard to consider issuing a warrant of arrest against Prime Minister Netanyahu? But as I said, the only avenue they have is through the UN Security Council. There is precedent on the matter. I refer to the Omar al-Bashir matter and also the Libyan matter. Both states, Libya and also Sudan, are not member states of the Rome Statute. But through the UN Security Council resolutions, the ICC was able to get into the space through considering initiating investigations with a view to prosecute those who were alleged to have been involved in committing war crimes.
I mean, the UN Security Council also, is there any guarantee, Dr. Koma, that they will be speaking in one voice, as it were, on this particular matter? Highly unlikely, at least from my vantage point.
You're quite right. Remember from day one, when the conflict ensued, the UN Security Council held an urgent special meeting. Members of the UN Security Council were divided from day one. They're still remaining divided on how to handle the situation in Israel. So it's not given that the UN Security Council will agree through a resolution to refer the situation in Israel for ICC to consider, in terms of arriving at a position that, it's high time they consider initiating investigations and also prosecuting Prime Minister Netanyahu. So that's the unfortunate part. But through the art of diplomacy, persuasion, South Africa is very good at that. We have seen that there is growing international voices across the globe that in principle are agreeing that those who are responsible for committing these atrocities against children must be held accountable. It's a principal position, and also it's up to South Africa then to take up this matter through lobbying other like-minded parties and countries to see to it that the UN Security Council feels the pressure and arrives at a resolution that favors the victims that are affected by this unfortunate war crime.
So just finally then, Dr. Koma, it sounds like the prospect of success on this matter will depend on how much support South Africa gets on this motion.
True. Other than that, other than international support, solidarity, there's no way that South Africa will be able to see that this call they're making will be successful through, of course, approaching the ICC. to consider initiating investigations and also prosecuting Prime Minister Netanyahu.
All right, Dr. Koma, thank you so much for coming through to speak to us this evening. I appreciate your time and your insight. That is public governance analyst Dr. Sam Koma, just talking to us there about the call that has been made by the ANC, a very strong one for that matter, for the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu. It looks like it's a process that will take time to unfold.